I call this meeting to order, starting with pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Opening the meeting to the public, does anyone have anything they'd like to say right now?
Well, good day, Ray Wayman. I'm on Priscilla Lane. I just have a concern about the development of the property here in Rouses Point and our reaction or interaction with ERS. I watched the meeting that we had on Thursday night on the 4th, and from what I saw, any outsider looking in would think it was the Spanish Inquisition. You know, the guys are sitting at the table and they were just grilled with this question: do you have your permits? And did you do this? And how come you don't talk to us? And, you know, it's like a kid being scolded. And I just thought it was a real adversarial meeting instead of, hey, what can we do to help you bring businesses to the village? You know, so I don't think we should have that. You want to talk about communication? What have you done to reach out to them, to communicate to them? I don't know. You have to answer that question yourself. But I think we need to have a better relationship with them. And I also think we need to have a better relationship with the board members and the mayor. It seems like there's public comments about you guys going at each other. And these are public. You know, it happens in the meetings, those kinds of things. We can't have that. Whether you don't like the mayor or another board member, doesn't matter. You gotta be professional all the time. You can never lose your professionalism, ever, because you represent the village to the outside world. Anybody can find Rouses Point website, Facebook, look at them and say, I'm not going there. So please try to get along with each other. Keep everything professional all the time, no matter what the circumstances is, and keep your grievances behind closed doors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Becky Reed from Rose Avenue. I want to comment on some recent events that emerged online by village officials. I feel it needs to be said that your remarks are damaging to the community. Each board member actively decided to run for office. You must present yourselves with the best interests of this village in mind. That means it's okay to disagree. You can ask questions. You can research options. It's not okay to use modern technologies to bully, to complain, or to defame other board members. In these instances, think about the end game, the prospering village. Take a step back, return to good old discourse, in person and not online. By doing this, you'll save the village the embarrassment of hearing that another business has passed us by from the online drama that unfolds. It is not okay to do this. It's fine. I've been on a board where we didn't like each other, but you don't need to do it out online. Talk to one another. You can get through because you all have the same end game. That's all I wanted to state.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay. Any questions on the minutes of the previous meeting?
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as printed.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We've got the minutes of the special meeting as well today,
Actually, all three. We have also the budget meeting also.
and the budget meeting, yes. Any questions about the special meeting minutes?
Make a motion to accept the special meeting and the budget meeting minutes as written.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Did you do for both the budget and the special? Okay. Treasurer Letourneau, is there any additions or deletions to the bills?
We have one addition this evening. It's the business card, it's the credit card. It's for the Zoom software purchase for $149.90.
Make a motion to pay the bills as amended.
Second.
Do you guys have any questions first?
No?
Okay.
I didn't hear who seconded.
Brian?
Brian
Thank you,
seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any correspondence today, Susan?
No, there isn't.
No correspondence. Okay, so we've got resolution 2021-8, closeout Rouses Point revitalization grant for the Civic Center here. The Board of Trustees has determined the village no longer needs the Rouses Point revitalization capital project fund because the capital project is complete, all funding has been received. And whereas the treasurer has submitted a complete accounting of the project's revenues and expenditures showing a balance of $410.57 in the fund. Therefore, be resolved, the Board of Trustees hereby declare the project completion and authorize the treasurer to close the Rouses Point Park revitalization capital project fund and transfer the balance of $410.57 back to the general fund to zero out the project's balance. This resolution shall take effect immediately. The question of the foregoing was duly put to roll call vote. Make a motion for a roll call vote on this matter.
I'll second it.
Trustee Arno?
Aye.
Trustee Dale?
Aye.
Trustee Pelkey?
Aye.
And Mayor votes aye. Gadway is absent. There's that out. We also have the public employer health emergency plan for the village of
Excuse
Rouses.
me, I'm sorry, could we back up for a moment? We
Yeah.
added to the agenda resolution 2021-09.
Oh, that's not in there.
It should be in your packets. Last page of your packet.
It's right there.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas the Board of Trustees deems it advisable to make certain modifications to the 2020-2021 village budget, be hereby resolved that the treasurer is authorized and directed to make the following modifications to the village budget for the fiscal year 2020-2021. Everybody good with this?
Looks
Okay. This resolution shall take effect immediately. The question of foregoing was duly put to roll call vote.
I'll second
Trustee Arno?
it. Aye.
Trustee Menard?
Aye.
Trustee Pelkey?
Aye.
Mayor votes aye. Gadway is absent. Okay, now the public health emergency plan. This plan is presented to the board in the case as a requirement because of COVID. Do you have any questions on, any comments on this, Susan, about this?
Just that it has been required from New York State. It went into your mailboxes February 1st and also went to the union by February 4th as required. I did not get any comments back from the union. So at this point, it has to be approved by this board by April 1st, this being our last regular meeting before April 1st. I'd like to have either approval or if it needs to have any modifications.
Okay.
It was done using a template from Nikon.
Yeah. I have read through this at the various different stages that it was done, and I've got no concerns with it. It looks like a good plan.
I also read through it and it seems like we pretty much followed all the rules that were, that are put through this when COVID did break out for our village. So, yeah, it looks really good.
Will this also be applicable for any future pandemics?
It is pretty much for future pandemics because everybody scrambled over COVID and then there were piecemeal regulations and executive orders that went into place that were sometimes difficult to implement because we didn't have time behind it. So this is really going to hold out into the future if there are any future pandemics or other emergencies, not just pandemic, how we would continue to work.
I'd like to make a motion to approve of this plan.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
have any news in the truck replacement at this time. I wanted to talk about updating the code book. Most of it is going to be tabled for the comprehensive plan because I've learned that the code book should be updated as part of the comprehensive plan itself. There are still a few things I would like to update in the code book, just to clear up some confusions, because part of the code book refers to positions like the superintendent, but there is no village superintendent anymore. So I'd like to change the language where it's superintendent to the head of the department that is responsible for that particular part. So like head of public works, head of the
Supervisor.
No, just the head of the department. Because that way, in case the supervisor's out sick or has a medical emergency or is just on vacation, it's in the code that it would fall to the person under the supervisor if that position is qualified. So that way, in the future, if another position is removed or added, if we have another superintendent, and that superintendent is then in charge of that department, it would go up to that person too. Is there anything you'd like to say with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where the village stands with its comprehensive plan, but certainly that, I agree, that I think once we get that back or have a chance to look at that and we can comment from the public with respect to that, that would be the time to make some of those changes. Because coupled with that, you may see that you want to make some changes in the zoning ordinance as well. Maybe certain areas are changing or can be modified somewhat or whatever. So we get a lot of feedback in that comprehensive plan regarding zoning in particular, I think, but also perhaps some planning issues and some other things. So certainly that's really the time when you make those changes is when you get that comprehensive plan. Because I'm going to assume the last time the village had a comprehensive plan done was probably quite some time ago. So I think it is probably time to have that done, and that's something that is good to do. I don't know, every 20 or 30 years, if not, maybe more often, just to see kind of where things stand, how things are developing, how areas are changing. So I agree. I think once we get the comprehensive plan back, that would be the time to make a lot of these other changes, whether it be grammatical or whatever the case may be.
Who's working on that plan?
I don't know.
Barton and Judas is working with the zoning
Okay.
committee.
That's something we should talk about too, because if the planning board is doing that, and again, I haven't been involved in it at all, but I didn't know whether, I didn't know who was doing it, so I'm glad to hear something is happening. The other thing you can do is actually, whether the village wants to do that, but you can hire outside consultants to help you work on that as well, because there are some very specific, like, requirements have to be followed with that regarding, public input, things like that as time goes on. I think,
Tom, we had our first meeting today with a consultant from Barton and the Judas about the steps to do, the first steps for the comprehensive plan. We're gonna have some issues with funding because that line in the budget got used towards the parks grant, so we had less money than we thought, and we're not exactly flush in our next budget, so we're going to do what we can to get at least to the survey, the first survey of the village.
okay,
We have a committee that's gonna do what they can on it, and then we're gonna look for some grants possibly to get the major bulk of the comprehensive plan written.
okay, and it is generally speaking, something that takes a little bit of time usually. It's not something that you say you're gonna get accomplished like in 6 months or whatever, so that's probably fine. But if Susan, I think we just kept advised what's going on with that, so we can take a look at some of that stuff as well, because, I mean, not that we have a lot of zoning things going on in the village or even planning, but I would like to at least review some of that stuff and see what they're proposing, at least make some comments or see if, I think there's some things that maybe I've seen over the years that we may want to modify in that as well.
So they make the plan and then they present it to the board? Or how does this
Yeah.
work?
I would actually like to have Benny help with the plan as well.
Yeah, it's,
The zoning plan.
yeah, to answer your question, Brian, yeah, they come up with certain proposals, in looking at the village, there's usually a survey done. Actually, there's usually a survey that's sent out to all the residents in the village to see, get their kind of comments or input as well, to see, okay, what do they see as things that that the board may want to address as part of a comprehensive plan. You know, and again, you know, the village, the board, the committee would look at, okay, let's look at the village as a whole. How are certain areas that maybe are residential now, but are they getting to be more commercial? Do we need to modify the zoning district in that area? Are there some other areas that maybe are commercial, but maybe more suited for resident? I mean, it's looking at the overall plan in the village to see, okay, this is maybe the last time it was done, this is what was in place, but where are areas that, or districts or whatever that seem to be changing, or could change, that would be more beneficial to the village?
So this is more of a planning and zoning issue and codes?
It's certainly a large part of that, yes. Yep.
I know
The final plan.
It's
will
also
come after this
development as well, and things of that nature.
I know we
That's like
talked
you take
about.
Pod's property down there to redevelop it and stuff, and, or Wyatt's property, or,
Yeah, you look at general areas in the village, you see how things are zoned, what kind of restrictions are in those areas, and, you know, how things might be able to be changed that would be more beneficial for the village, its residents, you know, businesses, et cetera. So a lot of it, yes, has to do with, you know, zoning, planning, development, things of that nature.
I know we talked about it in our budget meeting, you know, the budget money, but we really didn't know who was doing it or where they're at.
The last, I mean, the town of Plattsburgh has done a number of comprehensive plans, I'm gonna say in the last 20 years, I'm gonna say 3 or 4 at least. Peru did one in the last 5 years. They may be the last, you know, probably, I'm gonna say town in Clinton County that may have done one that I'm aware of. I know other towns have been talking about it, Albemarle town's been talking about it, and some other municipalities have been talking about it, but Peru may have been the last one. But even theirs took like well over a year, because again, they had a number of meetings, they had a number of public meetings where they got input from the community. They would send out surveys to the residents to say, okay, you know, what do you see as important issues with respect to the village? You know, and they could put things like, well, we think it's jobs, we could think it's attracting business, they could think, you know, maybe developing more public space, maybe whether it's parks or this or that. And you take that input as part of the plan and say, okay, this is basically what a lot of people are thinking about. Let's try to put this together with the concerns of the community and really what's in the best interest of the village to try and develop some of these ideas.
well, didn't Melissa McManus do this 20-some years ago?
She may have done one about that time. I was
Yeah.
gonna say, it's been a
Like
while.
25 years ago. Yeah, it's like 25 years, yeah.
Yeah, that
She
would
did,
sound about right.
Yeah, the revitalization of downtown section and stuff like that, and,
Early to mid-90s probably.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
been a while.
So, and, you know, it is certainly something that should be revisited from time to time. I'm not saying you need to do it 5 years or even 10 years for that matter, but from time to time, because areas change, you know, the public interest changes to some extent, what's more important, you know, from time to time. So it is certainly a good idea, and the fact that, you know, the village is looking into it, I certainly think is a very good idea. So, sorry, I didn't mean to.
No,
No, that's good.
that's why you're here.
A little clarification, that's all.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to, we wanted to dive into about it, but yeah, no, I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, the planning and zoning board has asked, who I thought would be good, as a good board representative, us, recommended Benny to work with the planning and zoning board when they've got questions. Because of your knowledge of the village's history and everything, I think you're in a good spot. And this will allow, like any outside developer, give them an idea of what we're kind of looking for it, where we want development, the types of jobs we're looking for. And it gives the planning and zoning board a much better footing when they're approving projects and disapproving of projects.
Yeah, having an updated updated comprehensive plan is actually important for zoning and planning, just in case any of the zoning or planning regulations or ordinances ever get challenged. You can say, well, we've had gone through this comprehensive plan every so often. It's beneficial for a number of reasons.
And for the titles in the code, like superintendent, I'd like to find a way to update them a little bit earlier, because I have had to field several phone calls and send several emails out clarifying, because they're like, we're looking for who's the superintendent that we contact for this thing, but you have no superintendent position. So I've got to send out an email or phone call and clarify who they contact for approval for something. And I would like it to make it change the title so it's a lot clearer, so at least they know what department to contact.
Yeah, that certainly makes sense.
Okay, got some COVID aid bill news as well. I spoke at Larry Barcombe with the town of Champlain today about how that's going to work. And I didn't realize how big it was when I said print this, so that's my bad in that regard. But we're eligible for around 230, but this isn't set in stone yet, 230,000, which will be spread out over 2 years. But there's a clause that we have to show a loss directly due to COVID that's in there at the moment, which might be a bit difficult. And New York State also gets the money first before it's sent out to the towns and villages. So all of this is still in flux. We have an idea of what we're supposed to get, but it's not set in stone yet. At least it's better than nothing, how's that?
Start.
Request an executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular employee. Request an
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Request an executive session to discuss the employment history of a particular employee.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Trustee Arno?
I have nothing on the fire department. I talked to Mike tonight, and everything's going well at the fire department. I got a quote on cleaning the carpet here from Hamilton Brothers for $200, if the board wants to go along with it.
I think we
Well,
should try it rather
should
than
try it.
replace it off.
Yeah, and
So we get some of these
a
stains out.
Yeah.
minimal amount instead of replacing the carpet at this time.
Yeah. So anyhow, I contacted them after the board meeting last week and stuff, and they said they'd come down, took a look at it, said they'd do it for $200, so. Alrighty, I'll give this to Susan and she can contact them and stuff.
Should we make a motion?
Yeah. I would think so, we're spending $200.
Yes.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Alright,
Aye.
Got with me here, Trustee Menard, do you have anything today?
I'm not done yet.
Oh, sorry.
I talked to Ethan tonight, and we have a problem out here with this little door where all the hockey players come in. 2 weeks ago, we couldn't even use the door because the door wouldn't open up to heat the tarmac up. So I'd like to see Adam, and this summer when we do the sidewalk here, extend the sidewalk out a little bit more and go into the door with the cement instead of the tarmac. I'll talk to Mr. Menard later on that. If it's okay to do that.
Yeah, well, we got everything right here. That's good.
Yeah.
We got all the equipment here.
Yeah.
Do we already have all the concrete for the sidewalk in stock, or?
No.
'Cause
Well, we're talking about put the sidewalk out from this door out
all
to.
the way out to the parking lot.
All the way out to the parking lot, so it's another 6 feet, 8 feet or so. Because if you leave that tarmac there, or if you re-tarmac that and stuff and it gets frost next year, it's gonna raise that tarmac up again, so if we put cement there, the proper cement and the footing and stuff like that, it wouldn't raise that. So we can open up the door, but it's an emergency door anyhow, so.
Yeah.
There's money in the budget, in the miscellaneous sidewalks for that.
Should be enough in there?
Okay.
Okay.
All right, and then I talked to the lady tonight up to 13, 13 Prospect Street where Dave Bogart had his garage. And it's NCGD hockey. And they do Zumba up there, they do dance up there, they do hockey training and stuff. And just to let people know that he just started his business in October. And with the COVID and stuff like that, now he's starting to open up and he's starting to get people in there and stuff like that, just to let everybody know.
Where's
So,
this?
just coming into the village on Chapman Street.
The last building before the golf course.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's where that is.
yeah. So, and he said that it would be nice of the village to, it was nice of the village to come up and talk to him and stuff and her, so. That's all I have.
Trustee Menard, do you have anything?
Yes, no, I'd just like to make a comment on Mr. Wayman's comments about the ERS meeting. I agree, it was very tense, it was very intense, and I agree that the board has issues and we need to be more professional, and I believe myself for one, will be more professional from now on. But I do believe that we connected, I think, with ERS, and I think we got on the same page as what we're looking for is basically jobs for the village. And I think we opened up a good dialogue with them. They've already reached out and invited myself and Trustee Pelkey to another meeting to discuss some of their plans, what they have. So I believe that we have work to do, but I believe as long as we have an open dialogue with them and we talk to each other and respect each other, I think we can move forward, and I hope we have a good relationship with ERS all through the development process. And that's all I have, Trustee.
Trustee Pelkey?
Yes, I brought up at the last meeting about the moratorium, about the electric boilers.
Right, and at that meeting, I mentioned that I would look into it, and I called NICOM just to see if they had any kind of like documentations or samples of local laws that kind of dealt with that. I spoke to a gentleman named Wade Beltramo at NICOM. He was gonna investigate that and get back to me. We also talked about, at that meeting, extending the moratorium.
Right.
And we talked about how to do that, I think, at some point.
Right.
And I confirmed with Wade that my thoughts was, in order to extend that, we'd have to pass like a local law to do that. He agreed. So, I've already started the process of preparing like, I think we talked about doing, rather than a year, maybe like a 6-month moratorium to keep it reasonable, because that's kind of the criteria looking at moratoriums, is make sure they're reasonable in scope. And I know we had a prior moratorium, I think a year.
18 months.
Okay, with respect to that, so I think the 6-month one is reasonable. So I'm already in the process of drafting that, it's in the works. I did not hear back from Wade. Wade was gonna check into the whatever he may have on the electric boilers. I explained to him what our issues were with them, and he was supposed to get back to me, he has not. So I will check in with him this week again and see if he's found anything. And if not, then I'm gonna take a crack at it, and we can have some discussions about the actual local law, but I think we need to probably, maybe on the next agenda, whatever, get a local law on the agenda for the extending moratorium like for 6 months.
Another person that we could probably contact is Tony Madafi with the Municipal Electric.
Okay?
He has a lot of knowledge. I just want to explain to the people about why we do the electric moratorium on electric boilers. Electric boiler is usually retrofitted into a house that has hot water heat or fuel oil, where they take out the fuel oil furnaces and they put in these electric boilers. And with these electric boilers, they're not energy efficient. They draw a lot of energy at one time. So when we design all the lines throughout the village, they're, in the summertime, they're about quarter capacity. In the wintertime, in the heating months, we're about 3/4 capacity. So if everybody started putting in these electric boilers, it would take our lines and overload our system. So that's why we have a little concern about it. What there is most people have electric baseboard units with thermostats in separate rooms where everything doesn't run at one time. So that can be done. And also, with the energy efficiency program that we have, they're really pushing these heat pumps, where the heat pumps gives you air conditioner in the summer and heat in the winter. And right now, there's rebates. There was a rebate last summer of $500 per unit, and now they're pushing them so much, they're willing to give you $1,000 per unit. So they're really promoting these heat pumps. So there is alternate sources of heat where we don't want to tell people that, oh, you can't, you can't do the electric boiler, but that's the reason why. It's because our system was made for the existing houses that were here, and like I said, in the summertime, we're at quarter capacity, in the wintertime, we could go up to 3/4. And you really don't, it'd be expensive to dig up, add new lines, add larger transformers, and that's why we look into this electric moratorium. But there is alternate sources of heat, so.
I actually contacted Mike Lyons over at NIMPA as well, not NIMPA, IEP as well, to make sure that we wouldn't be accidentally banning something they actually had rebates for. And there are no rebates for these hot air furnaces and hot water and electric furnaces.
There's such a high energy use when they come on at one time and they're trying to heat the whole house up with one source of electricity. And it's not, like I said, intermittent, where you have thermostats in separate rooms that they come on and they cycle out.
As that room gets cold.
Yes.
Because our system's more built for a low but steady load and not a high peak.
Right. And when you get the high peaks, it tax out the electric lines, and also it puts us on a higher demand, so our bills go up. Also, that's figured into the equation of how they figure out how much to charge us each month for our electric rates. So I know there would be like probably a public hearing, or
Yeah, there's gotta
people
be a
would have
public hearing to do
questions,
it.
but I just like to put it out there, the reason why we bring it up, and this is why we investigate and bring it up. We're trying to protect our interests with the village.
Absolutely. So, I will get you that, the draft of the local law for the extension of the moratorium. And I'll get back with Mr. Beltrambo and Nikon to talk about, if you wanna give me that gentleman's phone number, Brian, cause I don't have that. If you
Okay.
just, call me or email me
Yep.
with it, that'd be great. I'll reach out to him as well.
Yeah.
But I'll reach out to Wade anyways. I got his number.
Okay, perfect.
I can actually get you Tony's number at the end of the meeting, because it's in my laptop back there, which is streaming to the meeting.
Okay.
I can't pull it up right now, but I do have it.
Yeah, that's fine. Whatever.
He's the
Thank you.
director of the municipal electric. He represents all the municipalities.
Okay,
He's the
perfect.
executive director, so he has a lot of good information and how to do it and where to go.
Okay, no, that'd be great.
Yeah, definitely. That's all I have.
Okay. Other reports. Code Cooper? Wait,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Code Cooper?
The only thing I have to tell you, I think we're gonna have a very slow year as far as, building and development. Pricing on materials, material apparently is up over 100% from previous years. I mean, a $2 2x4 is now $7 or something. Wow. So I think it's gonna be a bit of a slow year. I hope we do well, but time will tell, I guess.
Tom?
I basically was making a comment on the moratorium, because Brian brought that up in his portion. I would ask for 2 different executive sessions. One with respect to proposed acquisition of property, and then a second one dealing with, personnel.
I'll make a motion for both of those.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That carries. Administrator Susan, do you have anything else today?
Yes, in our budget, there's $150 for the clerk for working on the annual budget, and I would like to ask for someone to make a motion to move that to Amy Lemieux, who is our senior typist, who actually did the lion's share of any work on the budget with Arsene.
I'll put that in the form of a motion.
Thank you.
Second?
That, trustee Arno seconds. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you. I would also like to just remind you all that we do have another special board meeting coming up on the 17th, the day after the election at 4 p.m.
Right here?
Yes. Also, as you heard in the resolution, the Parks grant is done and has been closed out. We got the last of our money. And also the sewer engineering grant has been closed out, and we got the last of our money on that too. And that's it.
And opening the meeting back to the public. Brief adjournment.
Before we do that, I got one thing. I got a phone call from Ryland Duffy, and he wanted to talk to me about the historian, or something to do, I guess he's going to college for, be a historian or whatever, something. So anyhow, I texted him back and said that he could take and call me anytime, and I talked to him and stuff and see what he had to offer or whatever. So,
I think you wanted to do an internship.
yeah, well, we don't have no money, so it has to be free if they was doing anything. So,
We don't have a historian for him to work with unless,
no.
Unless he works with you.
You're the
No.
closest person we have to a historian right
Yeah,
now, 'cause
well,
I don't know who Donna was
We
working
had
with.
6 emails today and stuff like that, and Brandon Racine was down there, and he's doing, because he's got his code into the computer and stuff. I don't have no code in there and stuff like that, so he did some of the emails and stuff, and we looked up some people that they were looking for, and we got everything squared away, and we sent them back the emails and stuff, so,
Okay.
you know, that's all I have to tell.
Would, his name is Brandon, right?
Yes.
Would he be good for the next historian when we can restore that position, or
No, you don't want to do that.
he doesn't want to do it? Okay.
I asked 3, 4 other people and stuff, and they don't have the time and stuff. Yeah. So, well, like I said, we got 6 emails today, and at least getting some progress back, you know, and stuff, so.
it's nice that Brandon's helping out.
Yes.
Yes.
I think he does it for the legacy of his mother. And
Yeah,
his heart is in the right place.
yeah. I make a motion, we recess?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thanks for coming, Becky.
Thanks, sir.
Sometimes I feel I need to.
Thanks.
Nice to see you.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
I just wish you had some more time.
Someday I won't have a day job.
Your battery's low there.
I'll tell you what,
Oh, no, okay, right.
I laugh.
It's not that
They
bad.
really retired
Thank you.
there for about 5 years, and after that, haven't stopped since. It's nice to take a break.
Thank you for coming, Becky.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You have a good day.
See you, John. Yep, thanks for coming.
Wait for me, John.
Yeah, well.